We had a long talk, we being Mary and me, with Karen, my sister, who's going to turn 90 on February 12th, about her episode yesterday and a digestive uprising, which ended up when she got back home with vomiting, preceded by something that's TMI, has to do with, anyway, we'd gone to the restaurant after water exercises and she got sick, and then we had to take her back to her assisted living where she's living very happily. And then this morning I'd called her last night, but again this morning to see if she's okay. And she said she'd had a rough night, but she'd eventually gotten up this morning and cooked herself some instant oatmeal and taken a shower, and she was feeling better. And at the end of the conversation, I was reminding Mary that my sister had recently said that the hardest thing in her day was getting dressed. And of course, you need to get dressed to go down to the dining room. She's trying to get herself to eat 2 meals a day down in the dining room. But she has a habit of bringing food into her apartment and snacking. So anyway, as the conversation ended, happily, that she is going to plan on not giving up on water exercises, as she threatened to, but she'll be going back with us on Monday. And I mentioned to her, we've got kind of a gang now. We've got Mary, Jan, Karen, and the new addition is Eddie, who's a retired physician living down the street. He doesn't want me to introduce him to people as a retired psychiatrist because he said that spooks people. I like to mention it because I have such a fascination and love for psychiatry. But anyway, as we hung up with Karen, I said, it just occurred to me that with Karen about to be 90, the term executive function is appropriate to raise. I hadn't thought of that about my sister, but I heard a lot about that a few years ago from my ex-wife, who was a medical psychologist, about executive function, and that's why my mother had quit warming foods up to eat, even though it was right there in the refrigerator. And it's just don't, what I call it, pull the trigger. You should eat, but you just don't quite get around to it. Well, that's a reduction of the executive function. For those of you who are approaching 80 or trying to think about how to deal with old age, that's a good one to know. I had a friend in his 80s who was a third cousin. We had a great-grandfather in common. But he said that now that I'm getting old, when I think about something I should do and I don't feel like I want to do it, then I just get myself up and do it. Well, he was an extraordinarily responsive guy who started and owned an electric installation and repair company. But executive function, it's about the ability to get up and do it, even though you're 90 or almost, and there's resistance.